bare feelings them a carry. Them done already and them can't say them sorry, y'all.
Yo, welcome to MMA Jammin with Kyle Chin. That is for the fool them who rob Max Holloway. Fire! Yo, my friend them. My vex, man. I can't believe say the man them rob Max so hard. UFC 251 just gone, and remember me tell you, the man them rob Max Holloway of his belt. There's not much question to it. I see that there's some argument on the platforms about. There's a little bit of debate. Most people agree that he was robbed. Most of the fighters, referees, they agree. But the one person that we need to listen to is John McCarthy. Big John McCarthy, the original UFC referee, the man from start who was involved with the writing of the rules.
Max was tooling him in the beginning of that fight. I'll give Volkanovski coming on in the end. Okay. But there's no way that he won 3 rounds of that fight. Did not happen. Impossible. Sorry. I don't know what the hell you're looking at. I wrote the rules that you go by for your criteria, and you're not freaking following them.
Plain and simple. Max made all the adjustments that he needed to make. He won the first 3 rounds. You could have maybe even given him round 4. I thought round 3 actually was pretty close. But Max was doing everything he needed to do. He was moving well. He employed the same things that I spoke about when I was talking about the breakdown. Using that front kick, right? Using more movement. Being lighter on his feet, so the stance was different. He wasn't so broad in his stance. It was now a little bit closer together so that he could check and so that he could move quicker. So he wasn't sitting down heavy on his punches, but he was touching him up. And it's incredible to see that they could have ruled it for Volkanovski. Like I say, Big John put the argument to rest for me. He's the man who wrote the rules, and he said, not only did he say that they basically did not follow the rules that he's written and revised, because the rules were revised. So things like a takedown do not count unless there is damage being done. Okay? So whereas in the old days, once you take down somebody, that you get points for that. Now, you don't get points for a takedown unless there is damage done. Therefore, Max Holloway did not lose that fight. And this is not just coming from a fan of Max Holloway, because I am a fan, but objectively, the way the rules are written and the way it's supposed to be judged. And John even went on to say that the UFC is not hiring good judges. The UFC is not hiring judges that have the experience or the background that should allow them to judge these fights, this level of fight on top of that. Listen, man, some ridiculous shit was going on. And I mean, even the Rose Namajunas fight, the fact that they could have ruled 1 round for Jessica Andrade, how is that? Rose won the first 2 rounds clearly. 2 out of 3, right? That should have been a unanimous decision. Jessica Andrade did a great job by coming on with her kickboxing. She changed up her head movement was apparent immediately. Immediately you saw that there was a whole heap of head movement being employed, and that made a big difference. So that was an awesome fight. I was so happy for the result of that. But the mere fact that that could have gone to a split decision is testament to the fact that these judges don't have a friggin' clue. But back to Max, the way he was able to now disrupt Volkanovski's movement. So remember before I spoke about how Volkanovski was consistently disrupting Max's movement with the leg kicks and all of that. Now Max is the one using that front kick, using the jab. And even some inside leg kicks, which didn't look very powerful, but it was something to just add movement, add a little strike to disrupt that motion. And it was effective. Volkanovski had to now change stances very often. He took 2 rounds to really figure it out. And by the 3rd round, Max was slowing down a little bit after being very, very active. And, he took that last round. But Volkanovski could not, even when he took down Max, was not really able to do effective enough damage. You know what the other thing is? They didn't count the 2 head kicks, man. They did not count not the 2 head kicks, but the 2 knockdowns. They didn't count them as knockdowns. What is wrong with y'all? They were obvious knockdowns. Obvious knockdowns. The end of the first round where him clip him in the head back and drop him. How is that not a 10-8 round then? Anyway, that put it to rest for me. I conclusively, Max was robbed. He should still be the featherweight champion. But here we are. Some other great performances that night. Ribas, man. One of perhaps the most standout performers was Amanda Ribas versus Paige Van Zandt. Ribas caught her in the armbar in round 1. It was really impressive. And I mean, Paige Van Zandt we're not to worry about her. She still have a future in the game. She still has somewhat of a draw, and she has a big fan base, especially because of all the extracurricular that she's been doing. And like she said the other day, she earning more money doing her endorsements on Instagram and Twitter and so on than she is fighting. But she, you know, for the love of the game, she's still in it. Petr Yan, Jose Aldo. Listen, Jose Aldo looked great. He looked good, man. He looked like the Jose Aldo of old, and just like I had said, he was employing the kicks and he was effective and he was winning the rounds that he did. Unfortunately, Jose just doesn't, I don't know if it's the age, I don't know if it's the weight, but his conditioning is not there in the same way. So we saw that he got excited, started to expel a lot of energy trying to finish Petr, and the truth is, Petr, however you put it, Yan. And the thing with Jose too, you know, is he expels a lot of energy with every punch, every strike. He's throwing everything. He's throwing heat. So, you don't know, it wasn't very surprising that his conditioning started to go down. We could see that Petr was a younger, fresher guy and just came on strong in the rounds. But the referee, man, like, bro, come on, man. Come on. The amount of strikes where my boy get unanswered, it was something like 100 strikes in it. Like, it was ridiculous, man. The referee could have stopped that fight a little sooner. And I mean, I know we hear complaints all the time, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You do have to worry about the fighter's safety. And the thing is, Jose was moving, so he kept moving. He wasn't inactive, but he wasn't improving his position, right? He wasn't getting into a position where he could effectively protect himself. You know what I mean? So it really could have been stopped earlier. But big up to Petr Yan. I see everybody coming out of the woodwork calling him out. Want to say who that star? Brethren, no, you say you retire. You just retire now, brother. How you come back into the game already and talk about bare things like the man a throw word against everybody? Yo, say who the man? You gotta let us miss you, bro. Like, you, what's the point? You can't make back your money or get the money you want if you don't be missed from the scene for a little bit. Anyway, maybe he's afraid of becoming irrelevant. But people are calling out Petr as if his next fight should not be absolutely sealed in stone. And I don't understand how Dana White could possibly say that he doesn't know if Aljamain Sterling is next. What wrong with you, Dana? Yeah, madman? Aljamain Sterling has been the #1 contender for the longest while. Oh, yeah, ramping. We're waiting to see Aljamain fight for the belt. That is what's supposed to happen now. There's nobody with a greater claim to the belt than Aljamain. We are do. We are do. Anyway, so that's it. I mean, I'm not gonna stay on that too long. Let's see the prelim card. Volkan Ozdemir, that was a pretty crazy knockout, man. First time he's been stopped, Volkan Ozdemir. Jiri Prochaska Started out cocky. I thought, you know, I was like, oh, this fool going dead. I'ma say Prochaska, you know, like showboating a little bit, and Volker was on him. He was on him. But man, he used that reach excellently. Well, good. And him, you know, landed that one to put him out. It was impressive. It was impressive. Yeah, no more that I would really load up from that card. Carol Rosa looked really good. That was a very nice fight. She really outclassed the girl. Touched her up the whole way. Davy Grant got a big a big knockout. That was cool. Yeah. So all went well, and I mean, and we just had a fight card last night, so I didn't wanna. I mean, I wanted to just do this, you know, maybe Elka last minute. I'm not gonna do much editing on this video, but yeah, the Qatar Iga card was really good. The Qatar, I mean, prelims were nothing but knockouts. You can't sleep on these fight nights, you know. The fight nights is where it's at, man. Always. This is where all the hungry upcomers are trying to get onto their pay-per-view cards. Qatar really showed his class in there. His conditioning and I mean, he had the advantage of reach, but he was really able. I mean, Iga is no joke. Iga is fast on that shot in, and I mean, when he blitzes in to throw strikes and so on, he's really quick. But Qatar was able to really use his reach and his conditioning, and it was an excellent fight. Qatar walked away with the victory. Tim Elliott, I was actually a little bit surprised about that decision. Jimmy Rivera, Cody Stamen, man, these two guys, yo, the man them literally look like two wrecking ball that fight each other. It like two wrecking balls just a boom and beat up each other. Very similar style, very similar body types. Jimmy Rivera has done the best against the current champion now, Petr Yan. So a lot of people are really looking at Jimmy as like, oh, all right, you're well up there, you know. He definitely got rocked against Yan a couple times, but Jimmy really looked good against Cody Stamen. So it's interesting to see what will happen now. Who they're going to throw at Yan, and how the hell Aljamain going to get him title shot. Like if Chabam, hey. So we had Munir Lazez, and I don't know if you know the story of Munir, but that was a big deal because you know, I was at some party in Dubai, and one of my brethren's son, was a 17-year-old kid, just came up and I was like, yo, you know about this brother? And started showing him on his phone like this guy's knockout reel, and then it was like, oh well, looks good. And also with the fact that the guy has a lot of popularity in that area, in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and so on. So he set up the fight, and Munir looked amazing. He fought against a guy who was undefeated, 10-0, or rather in the UFC he was undefeated. 10 wins, 10 knockouts. Yo, dangerous brother in Abdul Razak Al Hassan. And Munir went in there and really just like weathered the early storm as Al Hassan was going for that knockout early, was landing some big lick, and you really thought Munir was going to drop at any point, but nah, man, Munir just weathered the storm, stayed covered up, moved with it, and then when he needed to, he dipped out, found his space, and then just worked. Amazing kickboxing, great knees up the middle, beautiful straight punches. He really looked good, man. Really looked good. Dangerous kickboxer. So that was exciting to see. That was such a weird fight because the referee would stand them up in side control, like completely dominant position, not there for very long, and then the referee would stand them up. It was weird, man. Even against the cage, you wouldn't allow them to work. If that referee had refed the George Masvidal Usman fight, maybe that would have turned out differently. Who knows? It's funny that we reached this far and I didn't even talk about the Usman fight. But I guess I'll come back to that. Yeah, so that was a good night of fights. Just happened last night, Wednesday night. And, you know, it was pretty, I mean, fight nights are always amazing. So I'm excited to see that it was a great card. To go back for a second to the Jorge Masvidal Kamaru Usman fight. Listen, Jorge did everything that he was supposed to do. He did everything that he could possibly do as someone coming in with 6 days notice. Matter of fact, his game plan probably wouldn't be much different if he had a full training camp. It would just be a lot more effective. See? So you see where Jorge came in and he was just firing. The man just a Lego shot, right? And Usman, I mean, his striking just is crisper than Usman's. He was throwing some heavy kicks, heavy body kicks. He was moving and touching Usman, but to keep up that pace would just be impossible. Matter of fact, it's interesting because if you watch it, as great as a greater condition that Usman is in, Usman still looked a little tired coming to the end of, third, fourth round. The fact that Jorge could have gone the full distance, not really get any damage other than the headbutts that cut him open. You know, the fact that Usman couldn't really take him down at will, chose to hold him up and showed his power against hold him against the cage, clinched him in the cage. And that definitely made a big difference for the fight. That made the fight. But the fact that Jorge could have survived and be alright, probably have a sore big toe from all the foot stomps, but a rude boy cool, you know what I mean, him good. It says a lot for Masvidal. And Masvidal said it. The only fight that he wants right now, with all of his options, is the rematch. Because he knows he could beat him. I know he could beat him. Now, Masvidal got paid well. The numbers are not back yet, but he got 500 out of 1,000 just to fight. He would have gotten double if he had won. Plus, he's getting his pay-per-view points. Now, you're talking about... Let me look up the exact numbers. So, pay-per-view, 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. Now, that's way up there in terms of pay-per-view buys all time. Like, once you touch in the million and up, you're moving the needle big time. And that's only because of Jorge. Let me take that back. It's not only because of Jorge, because you had the champions. All the fights were looking really attractive. But put it this way, if Jorge wasn't on it, I don't think we'd have passed 700,000. Right? UFC right now is getting some of the greatest views in general because people are at home. It's not many live sports happening. But that was a proper number of pay-per-views. And the payouts are interesting and they tell a big story. Because when you look at how much Masvidal gets paid compared to Usman, who is the champion, and at the end of the day, I don't think Usman is getting the same pay-per-view points as Masvidal. Pretty sure he's not. So Usman 600,000, Masvidal 500,000, Volkanovski 350, Max Holloway 280, Petr Yan 100, Jose Aldo 400, Andrade 100, Namajunas 105. And what you'll notice, Ribas 24,000, Paige Van Zandt 60,000. And what you'll notice is even though, so in a case like Jessica Andrade, who is now the she's not the champion, she was a former champion, but is ranked higher than Rose, Rose still make her baseline is still higher than hers because it's about draw, it's about pull. I had an interesting argument the other day. If women should be paid the same as men in sports, and we had this conversation with a straight up feminist, two straight up feminists, but it was interesting. It was me and Anna Bridgen, and it was interesting how we saw the arguments differently. Where one was saying that even the way that we look at sports is the male dominated society, and is what depicts that perception, which I thought was a very interesting point. But at the end of the day, what the rest of us, the other three, came to is whoever has the biggest pull, whoever can put the most butts in the seats, sell the most pay-per-views, is who should get paid the most. And that's what we see here. That's what we see here in fighting generally. Ronda Rousey got paid way more than plenty fighters can get paid today. But yeah, so it was an interesting situation with Masvidal. We know now for sure. Dana had to admit it himself. Masvidal is a huge star in the game, and he moves the needle. He brings in the money. Can't deny it, can't hold him back. So Masvidal can kind of write his ticket from now on. You know what I mean? Like he can. I don't think he'll get the rematch right away. There's a brother named Leon Edwards, big up Leon Edwards, Jamaican heritage, who by all means deserves a shot at the title. Has been on a crazy winning streak, should be getting a shot at the title. We'll see how that plays out. And of course, Masvidal and him have history, you know what I mean? So we'll see what goes on. But that was it. We're not going to make this one a long one. And big up to everybody for following. Big up for supporting. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And you don't know, as always, be mighty. Listen some tune. And you don't know, as always. For the robbery. For the robbery.
Them done bow already and them can't say them sorry, y'all. So them a bare feelings, them a... Ooh, them a coulda wada, them a drive them. This thing Selassie watch, all of them a dying, y'all.
Big up.